It's raining a lot here, but in today's video we're going to talk about the new firmware for the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. Let's go. Hello everyone, I hope you are all good. I'm Photorabs, a portrait photographer based in France, and I like creating content about action cameras, vlogging kits, and so on. If you are interested in these kind of topics, I highly appreciate if you go subscribe to my channel. That's a massive help. And by the way, I would like to wish you Happy New Year. Today we are January 2nd. In a few days from now, DJI will roll out the firmware for the DJI Action 5 Pro, the firmware that I worked on a little bit. I got an email from DJI a month or so ago telling me that they were watching my videos and they are gonna update the firmware according to my suggestions. So you've been asking for it for so long, and now it's somehow happening on this DJI. It's not perfect yet. They still have to work a little bit on the firmware to make it better. Now I'm testing the beta version of this firmware. It's raining now, by the way, and it's cold, but it's a little bit warmer than yesterday. Yesterday we had like -2, -3 degrees. Today it's around 3 degrees, but it's raining a lot, so I'm sorry about that. So let's talk a little bit about this firmware. I had the screenshot here for what we have in this firmware. So I'm a beta tester for this one. Keep that in mind. This is not the final version of this firmware, but just you know a little bit what to expect. So this is the firmware version 0.01.03.0309. So V01.03.0309. And in this firmware, we have added support for tone settings, options in video mode, neutral, and vivid. In vivid mode, the picture has a stronger contrast between light and dark and a more layered visual performance. Only supports 60 frames per second and below in normal color profile only. So we cannot have that in D-Log, and we cannot have that in super night mode. Added support for the audio for the Android mobile transfer. So now we can have a better transfer with Android phones. Optimize the noise performance of high frame rate in video underwater scenes. So I'm not an underwater shooter, so this particular thing will not be so interesting for me. And we have also optimized the experience of automatic start recording and stop recording when we start diving and when we go out of the water. So this is not something that is interesting for me neither. And the last point here is fix some known issues. I don't know what are these known issues, by the way. So basically we have neutral and vivid color profiles. Well, not color profiles, but tones on this new camera, on this new firmware for DJI. And that's not exactly like HDR on and off, because I've been told from DJI that this feature would allow us to have a better image quality than only having HDR on and off. So on the vivid, we have in the more contrasty scenes maybe a better representation. So maybe the vivid will be like the HDR on. Let's discover that. So now I have the two cameras side by side at the same exact settings: high bitrate, 4K 25 frames per second, wide field, no, standard, dewarp standard, and Rocksteady on. Stabilization, the basic one, Rocksteady, not the Rocksteady Plus or so on. I've been asked also if the trumpet effect has changed. We will see that later on in this video, because now, as you can see, we don't have street lights to try it, but I can take my phone, turn on the flashlight, I don't know if, okay, so on this camera here we can see that trumpet effect. Let's see here. We can see it also on this one. So the trumpet effect is still here. So even though they worked a little bit on adjusting the door for the USB-C port, but they didn't change the lens or the lens guard of this camera. That would have been great if they did it, but no, they did not do it in this new batch of the camera. So let's talk now about this firmware. If you remember before, we had some halos around the edges, especially in conditions like this. So now I have the two cameras, one on neutral and one on vivid, with the latest beta firmware. It's still in beta. So can you notice any difference? Or do you think there is a camera better than the other one, or a mode better than the other one? Let me know your thoughts down below. The neutral, I think, is when you don't have that HDR look to your image, when you don't have that kind of like super high dynamic range. But here on the small OLED screens, I cannot see any difference. I'm curious to see that on my computer later on, but I'm also curious to see your thoughts, if you can find any difference on these footage. So I'm just trying to change So once again, these two cameras are in the exact same settings. I have to wipe the lenses because of the rain. And I don't know if you noticed, I'm trying to do everything in one shot. So I'm not going to crop and start recording and stop recording and so on. So I'll keep it as it is because I cannot edit this footage on my computer. Now I have to go in like maybe half an hour or so to another city to visit some friends, and I want to post this video very soon. So that's why I decided to go through this firmware quickly to show you like just a sneak peek about this firmware before the official release, so you know exactly if this firmware is what you were asking for. So now I'll try to go in a little bit to a darker place here in my village in the city. So once again, I have the DJI action cameras as well as the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, and for all of those who are asking which one is better, they are both great and they are both bad. There are moments where DJI is better than Ace Pro 2. There are other moments where Ace Pro 2 excels in front of the Action 5 Pro from DJI. So this is my honest thought about these two cameras. You cannot go wrong with any of these two. It depends on your style. It depends on how you are shooting, on what you are shooting, and so on. So if you would like, for example, to do a motor vlog and you don't have that helmet with a Bluetooth compatibility with the Ace Pro 2, then of course it's better to go with the DJI because of the DJI Mic 2 and the DJI Mic Mini, of course. But in other cases where you need to do more like night shots, I still prefer the Ace Pro 2 over the DJI cameras. But keep that in mind that Insta360, let's go that way, that Insta360 have another camera that was released last year that has that pure video mode, while DJI, this is their first generation of the super night mode. So I expect to have with the Action 6 Pro a much better super night mode than what we have on this camera. And I would like also to mention that the DJI Action 6 that will be released late February or March, although it will be cheaper in my opinion, it will have less features in my opinion once again, but that's not a big problem because I think it's gonna be more dedicated for FPV drones, for like maybe budget action cameras and so on. I don't think it's gonna be a competitor to this particular camera here, and the main competitor will be the DJI Osmo Action 6 Pro that will be released maybe late September or in the beginning of September, late August 2025. By the way, when you update the firmware of your camera, you have to turn off again the screen display that shows the time, because now every now and then I have to click on the screen to remove that to get back to the real view. So voila, that's it. I'm trying just to show you different angles, different lighting conditions. I'm shooting in normal color profile 10-bit just to get the max out of this camera. So I have like high contrasty scenes and some low contrasty scenes. So I will keep it up to you to decide which mode works better in which scene and in which case. And let's flip the camera this way. So voila, that was it for today's video. It was just a sneak peek of what we will get with the new firmware from DJI for the DJI Action 5 Pro. We have the neutral and we have the vivid tones on the camera that will simulate a little bit the HDR on and off. Let me know your thoughts about these two tones on this camera, whether you find any difference or not. And if you would like to buy this DJI Action 5 Pro, please refer to my affiliate links down below. And if you have any questions, any concerns about this camera, and if you'd like to know more about this firmware, if you have ideas for more tests for this firmware, let me know that down below. I will get these cameras with me for my visit to my friends, and I'll try to record some footage there, whether in normal, in daytime, or in low light conditions. I will try to do that. But if you have questions, if you have concerns, let me know that in the description, in the comment section box. And that's it for today. Once again, Happy New Year to everyone. I wish you all the success, and I wish that you can realize all of your dreams. And above everything, I wish you good health for you and for your beloved ones. Thank you for watching, and ciao for now.